Welcome back to another episode of Knowing is Knowing. I'm your host, Rashad Young, and as always, I appreciate you all tuning in to a brand new episode. This is episode 4 of season 5. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. If you're new to the podcast, make sure to subscribe to the podcast on your favorite audio platform. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel. As my goal is, as I've been doing this for a while, to be more consistent, to be more frequent with these episodes. I think this is good for me because it's a form of an outlet. And I always want to take this time to make my podcast be engaging and quick and something to learn from. My goal is never to make it more than what it needs to be. I think if you do things with intentionality, it's not about how long you make it. It's about how effective you can make it and how impactful your intentions are meant to be. You know, I'm at a point now where I think many of us are faced of you're at a stage of reflecting on when you've outgrown things and when you've outgrown people. There's many stages in our life where we're going to feel conflicted or confused or worried that we are separating ourselves from a lot of familiar people, or we're separating ourselves from that relationship we thought we'd be in a long period of time, or we're separating ourselves from that job or the identity of the career that we thought we were going to have. And simply outgrowing is not something to be guilty about. You know, I think when I talk to people in the spaces of helping people out from a clinical basis or just connecting with people and having deep, meaningful conversations, you know, this conversation of outgrowing things is very complex because it's often centered around a lot of guilt, a lot of questioning, sometimes a lot of shame, because at some point I do think you just realize that you have outgrown something, and that is okay. You know, to outgrow something means that your values have changed, your boundaries of things have changed, your desire has grown. If you desire peace, alignment in a certain way of life, and you should not have to explain, convince, or change your mind to make other people feel comfortable. You know, what tends to happen is that we choose at times to be around things that are familiar than to embrace the discomfort that comes around with wanting to grow. I will say this over and over again, that the only way you're going to grow is to experience discomfort, but also the other way you're going to grow is to separate yourselves from the things that were potentially holding you back. And what I mean by that is not necessarily that the people in your life are holding you back per se, but when you're wanting to grow, you have to ask yourself, where do these people fit at with your values and how that's going to affect your future self moving forward. It doesn't mean that you have to disassociate yourself from people. It doesn't mean that you have to let people go. It just means that you have to be okay if doing things differently requires you to do it in stages of isolation. So if you're new to the space of psychology, if you know anything about Erik Erikson, the world famous psychologist in the 20th century, he talks about the 8 stages of development. And for most of us, we're at that stage in our life where the stage I think is very transformational in a lot of humans' life, which is the intimacy versus isolation stage, the stage of which either two things happen. You start to build upon relationships, whether it's personal or intimate relationships, or you go through several stages of isolation because you're changing frequently. And why this is such an important stage in the experience for humans is because you start to understand your values, you understand yourself, you have a sense of identity, and you're trying to create a formal idea of what you want your life to be moving forward. And so when you're in that space, when you're trying to grow, a lot of these moments are going to start happening where you start separating yourself from those personal relationships, which causes you to feel isolated. You know, why does this feel so heavy and why this concept feels so heavy? Because when people tend to grow and separate themselves, you ask yourself certain questions like, I'm abandoning people. What if this doesn't work? Is it worth losing these friends over? I'm missing who I used to be. I'm missing what things used to be. I miss the fun, the excitement. And while I think those things are very beautiful, they're also truths that, you know, at some point you do have to shed the old skin that you once had. You have to let go of the idea and the identity of who you used to be, because who you were meant to be is probably so much greater and it looks completely different. And, you know, sometimes when people make those changes, a lot of people, they tell you that you change, But sometimes that's them projecting their own insecurities or struggles within themselves to recognize that, seeing the growth of somebody else causes people to do that inward reflection that they're unable to accept. So it makes them uncomfortable. And so when people do that, they can be projecting on why they haven't done it themselves. And for you to want to make that change says a lot about you. Because it's true, you're not meant to be the same person forever. You're not meant to be in the space where, certain things aren't supposed to change. One of the reasons why we get so frustrated as people is because deep down inside, we know that there's more in us that we need to give and get out. So when you're in that space, embrace it. Embrace the changes of wanting to do something different. Don't be ashamed of wanting to grow, because growth is necessary in order to live life the way we want to. When you hear when you hear the topic of untapped potential, when you hear the topic of wanting to be more and wanting to be better, a lot of people talk about the discomfort that they went through in order to make those things happen. And you have to be okay with making those changes. You have to be okay with doing things alone. Because again, growth is necessary to get to the places that you want to go. So what's the takeaway? Be yourself. Understand your values. Respect your boundaries. Do not shift, change, or convince other people to see what you're trying to do. And don't be afraid to go alone if need be. One of the greatest lessons my grandmother's ever told me is that at some point you're going to get on the train that's going to lead you to a destination of your desires, and everybody's not going to go on the whole ride with you. Some people are going to get off and take various stops because they recognize that what's required to be in your life when you're wanting to grow is something that they have the inability to understand and have the capacity to do so. It doesn't make them bad people. It just makes them understand their own capacities. And again, the biggest thing that you have to recognize with growth is recognizing the things and the people and the things that you desire are in alignment to your true self and where you want to go. Growth is necessary. Isolation is necessary in growth. Be comfortable in who you are. That's all I have today. I appreciate you all so much. Subscribe to the pod on your favorite audio platform. I'll see you all soon. God bless.